Can you show me these DMs somewhere? Unbelievable.
Do you consider that at all?
No, it's,
Like,
oh
there's a
my
what?
God.
Connor, what the f does this have to do with anything? This isn't the brag. Great waste of time, Connor.
I'll even say I was wrong about it. Like, his statements were not as bad as I thought.
They weren't bad. They were 180 from what you said.
They weren't 180.
No, you said he was campaigning on a fishing expedition. He campaigned on following the facts on an ongoing investigation and cited prior litigation experience against the guy that was being sued as an example of why he'd be a good district attorney.
All right, fair enough. I mean, whatever.
The fact that Sean even knows these collection of facts, but then deliberately miscontextualizes them or lies about the context around them, like these two prosecutors quitting, for instance, shows that not only has he done some research to understand it, so he's not just misinformed, he's selectively finding bits and pieces of information that he hopes the other side doesn't have context on. Okay, and the presidential election, that's not democratic, right? Because we don't even get to vote on that. It's just the electors, right?
Presidential election is 50 individual elections, and people argue that it's not democratic because the person with less votes can win.
Okay, so in that case, we have no, that's fine. Okay, so I understand. Okay, I concede all of the debate from last night. There is no threat. Yes, there is no threat to the democracy because we don't have a democracy. I understand now. Has there ever been a democracy in the history of the planet? A single democracy ever?
Weaseling out on standards, and then you proceed to insult Sean. So where in there were your objections to Sean's behavior during that panel? Where would that have been solved by a clarifying message from me on the exact topic?
I don't think that a clarifying message from you on the exact topic would resolve those substantive disagreements with Sean's various positions as laid out. Because even though it was difficult and at times, going through gritted teeth, there was a conversation that took place about things, okay? And so,
Sure.
and eventually they were able to speak more generally about threats outside of the context of 100% certainty, okay? So those critiques that you just read out that I'll defend to the death, each one of them, and I don't characterize them as insulting at all. I believe those are like accurate descriptions of my objections and what actually is the reality of the problems with his position. Those are what I would put in the bucket of substantive critiques on things that were actually said about topics that were actually discussed on the debate. There separately is the issue of what the debate was supposed to be about. That is something I would not put in the same bucket as those substantive complaints, and I would essentially say that is a separate thing about what they're all there for. And
Okay.
I don't give you any responsibility for the substantive parts. Those are all.
I will happily take the L because I said a similar thing to Lauren, and then she was like, okay, what's the exact prompt? I sent her the exact prompt. I did not clarify the exact prompt with Sean, so I am happy to take the L. And as a brand new, recruiter for the hippy dippy, that is a professional failure on my end. Okay.
I don't think
as an excuse. Hold on.
Yeah.
As an excuse, I am working full time. I have a family.
You have kids.
I have my own hobbies. So my professional L. Okay. I want to walk you through. I want to walk you through a logic chain. I think you already answered this question, but I'm going to ask it again.
Yeah.
Do you believe Trump is an existential threat to democracy?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So is democracy on the ballot in 2024?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Okay. So you are now ready to debate on the hippy dippy as of 8/16/2024.
Isn't it 8/17?
No, I'm saying last night.
Yeah, no. But again, what I just said, is Trump an existential threat to democracy, isn't what you or what AJW thought the prompt was. They didn't represent the prompt.
This is a point of clarification I want.
Yeah.
So let's do it. I kind of want to pull up my exact phrasing. Like, is Trump going to end democracy in 2024?
Yeah. Will he? Will he end democracy?
Will he? Okay.
Yes.
So what was because I caught the second hour for the commentary section. So what was AJW's most egregious argument that you felt like he couldn't move past because he was being semantic?
I actually don't think it's wrong to be clear. I don't think it's wrong to clarify semantics. What I think, and I'll tell you what I think the most egregious of this example was. But I think it's fine to clarify semantics. Be like, this is what I take to be the question, what that is, and just to be like, under your semantics, I don't have a disagreement with you, AJW, because I don't think that standard has been reached. So that's fine. What I took issue with was AJW saying you have to agree with my semantics and concede the entire debate because of my ridiculous interpretation of what this meant. And so that's what I take issue with, number one. And then number two, what is the most ridiculous semantic issue? And I see Destiny has requested, I will grant it to him in a second. What is the most
Yeah.
ridiculous of the semantic interpretation of AJW? For him to interpret the prompt of is democracy on the ballot as, do I have a practical certainty that Donald Trump will end the democracy? And that is to say, and I think that means small d democracy, not our constitutional republic, but like literally stop voting.
Again, I'll take the professional L where I need to on not communicating the actual verbalized prompt, but I do think that there, and I'm not trying to throw AJW under the bus. It's technically my fault.
Do it.
But I feel like there's an extrapolation there that's already an extrapolation from my extrapolation.
I agree.
Okay, wait.
So
Is my mic working?
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
I understand I've been on a more aggressive bend. Okay. I'm going to continue this. Can we just not even pretend to have this conversation? I don't understand why this even needs to happen. It is whatever interpretation, Connor, if you think they had an interpretation that was legitimate, you're just not in reality. You're either doing it intentionally or you need to medicate yourself for psychosis. There is no world where you have a conversation about is democracy on the ballot and the other side perceives the ending of democracy to maybe not even be encapsulated in the Civil War. There's no sane, valid interpretation that has that. Full stop. If you pretend that it does, you're either crazy or you're just like crazy making. You're like gaslighting. You're like having fun, like being insane.
No. So I think that would go to my last sentence, which that feels like an extrapolation to my extrapolation.
What does that mean?
So people are criticizing me because I rephrased "is democracy on the ballot in 2024" to Sean specifically. Okay, Lauren had the full prompt. To Sean specifically, I reinterpreted that to "is Trump going to end democracy in 2024?" Okay, so that's the premise that I presented to him. That's what he went with. Apparently,
I understand,
So-
but there are two huge things. One is
Uh-huh.
we could have just clarified that immediately, and then we could have been like, oh, okay,
Yep.
so the claim isn't quite as extreme. Okay, which would be fair. But then two, even if we wanted to meet that insane claim, it wasn't enough to show if democracy was on the ballot. It was, is democracy on the ballot in such a way that Trump will end it and it will never come back?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
Hold on.
where
Can
I'm
you
saying
acknowledge that is never a valid interpretation of that prompt? And can you acknowledge that no one in the history of is X on the ballot has ever meant it to be that way? Ever. Now, not even one person in all of human history, even in fiction, no one has ever meant it to be that. When someone says abortion on the ballot, nobody thinks is like, well, are they going to make it so that abortion in every single circumstance is illegal from now until the end of the universe, until the heat death of the entire universe? Nobody has ever meant anything to ever mean like that ever.
Sure. And the thing that I think backs up my agreement is when you're the Civil War example specifically, right? So just because democracy came back allegedly, although I think there is an interesting historical argument there that I would steelman, and I wouldn't mind steelmanning Pisco because he seemed aghast at the notion.
Wait.
Uh,
It is a gas, real quick, just to be clear. Abraham Lincoln, everyone understood that this experiment that we were going, this America, is a precedent, and that the democracy as they understood it, the constitutional republic, was at stake. That's why he
so
says.
hold on, before we get into
I
that,
just want to get this out. That's why in
uh,
his Gettysburg Address he says, and that government by the people for the people will not perish from the earth. Because that's what they thought that they were fighting. Because it was a threat to the constitutional order. It was an illegal abolishment, nullification of the Constitution in these states. The states who initiated the aggression, the states who, thousands were dying, and it was not clear that, were we going to have a split, two different sovereigns, and now, they split again and split again. And so it was anarchy versus constitutional republic. Those were the stakes as they saw them, and they were right.
okay. So before we get into the Steelman historical argument, because this is going to be a diatribe of its own. Yeah, I feel like the Civil War example. Let's just talk about it logically because I think this is what Destiny is poking at. What Destiny is poking at is just because something is a temporary threat, but then that threat doesn't come to fruition, does not mean it's not a threat. right? That's the
No,
crux of what
not
we're
even
arguing.
that. No, that would be a softer version of my argument. But I was willing to argue an even stronger version. But what they're saying is that if Donald Trump were to come and be a dictator for 1 year, and then he were to be ousted from office, and then people were to repair everything, and then we set ourselves back on the right course, they would say like, oh, then it wasn't a threat, I guess. That's what that's an.
Yeah, that's silly.
But hold on, wait.
Literally-
Do you acknowledge? You just said that's silly. You acknowledge that was their position.
Okay. Yeah.
No. Wait. Why are you saying okay or sure? No. Yes. That was their position. Yes.
I'm about to use the N-word again, Pisco.
That's fine. I don't care. I love the N-word. But that is
Okay.
that was their position. Not sure. Not okay. Yes,
Shut up.
it was their position,
Shut up.
right?
Shut up, Destiny. Let me explain the last 16 hours of my life to you real quick, okay? I got out of my job because I'm not a multi-millionaire jerk off, and then I got home, and then I helped take care of my kids. Then I helped with the commentary section of the shit for Hippy Dippy. Then I helped put my kids to bed. Then I jumped onto the second commentary thing after catching the last 30 to 40 minutes, which I was watching while I was eating dinner. Then I went to bed, and then I woke up, and Pisco and two of his autists are jumping down my throat for improperly communicating the prompt of the debate, resulting in the shit show of the Hippy Dippy, which needs be pointed out. The point of the Hippy Dippy is to be a fiery panel. So, all of you in that regard.
Wait,
okay?
hold on,
So
Connor.
all I'm
Wait.
defending-
No, wait,
so I
Connor.
haven't seen-
Connor. None of this is your fault. I don't know why you're taking this on you.
Because in a professional debate setting, the exact wording of the prompt should be communicated to all debaters so you don't have this confusion.
There is
over the
no
prompt.
confusion. Stop, Pisco. This is partly your fault. You don't entertain this argument. Hold on, no. This is not a real debate. We're living in a fantasy land. There is no confusion here. Everybody knows what that means. Why are you pretending like it's confusing? What are we talking about right now? Is democracy on the ballot? It's not a binary into perpetuity. Everybody knows what that means. You don't have to clarify that anymore. You didn't have to clarify that to us. I wasn't messaging Hutch like, oh shit, when they say is democracy on the ballot, do they mean are they going to do a referendum on should we be a democracy? Nobody thought that. Nobody on my side. It didn't even enter my mind for a microsecond, and I guarantee you it didn't for any of the other debaters as well.
I'm not saying, wait. I am not saying that there is a genuine confusion here, which makes any sense at all. I am saying that their interpretation of what this means is completely implausible. That's all I'm saying. And I agree with you. I said Connor does not have full responsibility for any of this. I think he should have set the prompt out.
So this is all your fault. I think I have that in a tweet.
No, but I went under it and said, actually, it's not all your fault.
Wait, hold on. What did Connor communicate? Where is this? Show me.
Okay, so I sent Lauren and Sean, and I could look up the message to Lauren.
I'm going to send it to you.
But I sent the equivalent of will Donald Trump end democracy in 2024 or something like that, right? So that's an extrapolation. It's a little bit hyperbolic, etc. But of course, when you're recruiting somebody, you want to give them the most fiery version of the debate, right? And so Lauren says, what is the exact wording of the prompt? And I did send that to Lauren.
Wait, send what?
Lauren,
Can you show me these DMs somewhere?
Sure.
I just sent you one of them. This is the one that was sent to AJW.
Hold on. Yeah, this is not. There's nothing wrong with this, though. So there must be something more.
But hold on. No, what I sent to AJW?
No, Pisco just linked me a tweet where it's you saying, "Do you want to be debate partners with Lawrence Southern against Destiny and another Democrat about whether or not Trump will end democracy if elected?"
Yes. That was my extrapolation.
Okay. That's fine. Okay.
Yep. But then I did send in, so I know you're not attacking me, but I did send Lauren the exact, and I'm sending this to you now just so you know I'm not full of shit. She asked, what is the exact phrasing of the debate? I said, yes, and I'll solidify that. Also just call them the F slur and hang up halfway through. She didn't do that. It would have been funny. Here is the exact phrasing. Is democracy on the ballot in 2024?
Okay.
So Lauren got the prompt. Sean did not. And even if you're saying that it's not reasonable for Sean to interpret the prompt the way that he did, even based off of my improper phrasing, waking up this morning, there were a couple of autists and Pisco who were blaming me for the first half of the show being unproductive.
No. Hang on a second. You are rewriting history. First of all, the prompt that you just sent about will Donald Trump end democracy, I think that is also misleading because the question isn't will he in the sense of like do we know that he's going to? The question is it a threat? Is there a significant threat? Like I said, I give you the nuclear war example. If you knew that
I
there was a
understand it.
10% chance, I'm just going to repeat it, if there was a 10% chance of nuclear war, if you flip a coin, would you say that will there be nuclear war if you flip the coin? The answer is I don't know. But if you
So
asked it like, is flipping the
let's
coin
do
a
nuclear
threat
war.
to what's that?
I want to follow you on your example, and
I hate
I
this.
want to show
This is
Destiny
so
real quick.
stupid. I can't believe these
So
guys are
if I
seriously
was
talking
recruiting,
about this.
let's say
This is
this is the
crazy,
1980s, but somehow we still have
right?
the same technology. We're debating the Cold War, and I reach out to a Russian sympathizer and I say, "Is Russia gonna end the world in nuclear Armageddon?" Right? That is
Yeah.
obviously a hyperbolic take on whether or not Russia is a nuclear threat. So if we show up to the debate and the prompt on the screen and the Discord messages and all that kind of shit is Russia a nuclear threat to the United States of America? Expecting that everybody is an adult and a political pundit, I expect, and this is my fault, I expect the contributors to be able to move from, okay, Russia will likely not end the world in nuclear Armageddon, but let's talk about why it's a threat and to what
But
degree
he
and why
couldn't
we
do that.
disagree.
Well, no, yeah, wait. If you say that, then what they would say is they'd go, "Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about that. You've moved the goalpost. Can you concede the debate, and then we'll move to the second debate?" You understand? You understand? That's what they were saying, right?
Sure,
No.
but then for
Yes.
me,
You understand? That's what they.
Destiny. You are not.
I don't care. I'm done. I'm good. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I can't do this. I can't do the sures and the okays. I can't. Conservatives are driving me insane. Okay, we're done with this. Don't care. I'm done. I'm good. God damn it. What? How? God. That. Where did I read this from? Where did I read this thing? This has changed my life. Okay, it's changed my approach or how I've viewed some of these conversations so much. Were we listening to a video? Were we talking to somebody, or did we read something where the person was talking about how if you go into a thread and you correct misinformation and you do it really well and you think you're like doing a good thing, you've already lost the battle because you've been attention yoinked into fighting misinfo. What were we watching about that? Having these conversations is like, that was on the subreddit. Was it on the subreddit? Ryan Macbeth might have spoken about it too. I feel like we read something about this as well. This is insane. This conversation is crazy. Why are they debating this?
Like, just to make you feel a little better, buddy.
Sure.
Bro,
Sounds good.
bro, it's not. You're not a bad guy, and I don't even think you're. It's on him to do his due diligence, and Lauren asked for the prompt. I think it beggars belief that he wasn't aware of what the actual prompt was at least an hour before the debate. I think that he really didn't know. I'm sure there's a.
I don't know why
public tweet
Pisco is
somewhere.
arguing
I'm
it.
sure
Yeah,
there's
it's
some
not even. There's
promo
no
tweet
point in
somewhere
arguing this. It's such a
that
waste of
is
time.
I'm sure
Everybody
someone
knows what
explained
this
it.
conversation
I mean,
was about. Every single
how can
person
it
knows
be
what
that
this.
he didn't know the actual text of it. And if he did, and again, put that aside. In the actual debate,
I'm getting re-triggered.
he was
Oh my
arguing
God, I'm
that
getting
his
re-triggered.
interpretation of the actual prompt
Too late.
was reasonable.
I'm
and so I don't
Right.
understand why we're giving him
can't
the benefit of
help
the doubt
myself.
of where you not sending him the official prompt when he almost certainly had notice of it, and then on the actual panel was defending the merits of his interpretation related to the literal actual debate. I think why should we give him that benefit of the doubt?
Well, so
Yeah, he
that's
repeatedly
again where
said
I feel
that.
like a simple concession to the chances of this happening are low. However, this is where we think we're going with it or whatever. Or let's reframe it to do this. I'm not going to concede the entire debate. This is my interpretation. Blah 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 blah. So here's the thing. There is, and this is where I want to steelman Sean a little bit. There is an interesting conversation to democracy at what level when it came to him considering the Civil War, and it didn't seem like
Unbelievable.
you considered that at all.
No, it's. Oh
there's a
my
what?
God.
So there's something interesting to consider there.
There's not.
With
Not for
whether,
this
like,
conversation.
What democracy are we ending?
Oh my
in
God.
reference to the Civil War, because there is
Yeah.
a Confederate argument for the fact that, like, well, these are our citizens in our constituency. We
Yeah.
joined under an Article of Confederation, and part of our interpretation of the legalistic arguments is that we have the right to secede. The federal government has gone too far, and as a result, we're seceding. So we are serving our democracy.
No, I hear you. There's an interesting question about what democracy means. Recall, of course, by the way, that actual Justice Warrior, his whole position is we don't actually have a democracy. And so for his merit, there can be no threat to a democracy in America because he said multiple times, we do not live in a democracy. So if we're going by that definition of democracy, I don't think actual Justice Warriors would raise the kind of concerns the Confederates are bringing up because he wouldn't, of course, not agree. He would say, well, you guys are stupid. There is no democracy. We live in a republic or whatever his phrasing is. On the actual merits of
Which I find to be silly and pedantic and semantic.
Yeah, it's stupid, but the question is like...
It's not silly. Oh, it's not silly and pedantic and semantic and stupid. It's intentional. It's intentional and malicious. It's intentional and malicious.
Really what they mean, and I use this example...
Why do we even grant that?
Ran for a third term, and after he wins election the second time, and someone says, hey, that's anti-democratic. That's against democracy. When he runs for a third time or attempts to run for a third time and someone says, a liberal says, that's anti-democratic, do they mean that not having term limits is anti-democratic?
I don't know why he's even arguing.
Remember,
why is he even having this
term limits are,
conversation?
in the kind of,
Oh my
most
God.
broadest sense of the word, anti-democratic. They're preventing you from electing someone who you otherwise might elect. The reason why, if Trump ran for a third term and someone would call it anti-democratic is because it goes against our constitutional system. Because in the context of America, when people speak about threats to American democracy, they're referencing the constitutional system, not the most narrow Athens definition of democracy. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
All right, then I just don't understand these people who, on one hand, say democracy means only the Athens-style democracy, and we don't have that democracy, and fail to understand that, in the American context, it's clear what people mean is something more foundational to our system.
If somebody said that to me, and bear in mind I didn't catch the first hour of the debate, I would accuse them of being obtuse.
That's his position, bro. That's his position. And he said, even if Donald Trump were successful...
That's not his position. It's not silly. It's not pedantic. It's not stupid. He's not being obtuse. He's being malicious.
Why is he being malicious?
Because he knows that he can't. He knows that he knows that he can't win on the prompt. Okay, he knows that his arguments are meritless, and he knows he can't debate the substance. So instead, he intentionally pivots to the most autistic, irrelevant shit ever. He did it in multiple parts of the conversation. Pisco, when he brought up the Bragg stuff, right? If he did, this is a criminal lawyer guy, and that's what he markets himself as, and he went to school for criminal justice. And how many videos do you think he's made? Dude, I went through his thing, his Twitter account. He talks about bail every fucking day, about all these new rapists, all this shit. And when he goes to quote Alvin Bragg's, it doesn't exist. He can't find it. In fact, all the quotes on the record are the exact opposite.
That was horrible, Connor. So what he did was he pretended that Alvin Bragg made some statement approximating, I'm going to go after Trump on anything.
Fishing expedition was the phrase used.
When in reality, there was a very public previous investigation of Cy Vance. I don't know if you recall the case called Trump versus Vance, went all the way up to the Supreme Court. It was all public knowledge that there was a pre-existing criminal investigation of Donald Trump by the Manhattan DA, by Cyrus Vance Jr. And so, no shit. The campaign issue was, well, who's going to handle this very public investigation? And at no point did he say, we're going to get him and my job is to get a conviction. He said, I'm going to follow the facts wherever they are. I have experience prosecuting Trump before. Connor, what about that is inappropriate?
No, I don't think that prosecutors following the evidence, this is one of my frustrations with the Trump sycophant tribe. This is one of my frustrations with Rob Noor, is he always talks about how the DOJ has been weaponized in order to go after Trump. But, following evidence down investigative lines is what prosecutors and law enforcement does. So if you're saying because somebody runs for office, you can't investigate them, that's insane.
But he represented it to Stephen and the panel as, well, what if there was a Trump attorney general or a candidate for attorney general or district attorney who ran on going after a Democrat and just trying to find a crime no matter what? That was the comparison he used.
Well, no, the first comparison was, what if a president ran on it? Okay, so the comparison wasn't even apt initially.
By the way, Trump did.
Yeah,
Trump
Hillary
ran
Clinton
on
True.
Hunter Biden.
Yeah, he did.
But
I would
Pisco,
literally, I would flip that argument on its head and say, well,
Also,
how do you feel about Hunter Biden's alleged
no,
corruption?
no,
Do
no,
you
no,
think
no,
that
no.
should
But
be
hold on,
investigated?
you've already lost. You should. When
What?
you say flip the argument on its head, you're pretending like you're dealing with a rational, reasonable human being that's having a real argument. These aren't arguments. These are insane. And everybody knows it's insane. It's an insane point. It was done in bad faith. There's not an argument to be had here. There's not a back and forth to be had here.
Destiny. So, I hope you didn't hang up earlier because I was being rude or abrasive. But so here, right here, the reason why you would flip it on its head isn't in order to win AJW or any of his strong sycophants. It's for the audience, right? So they can see that there's an obvious hypocrisy here where you would support it if it goes after Biden or Hillary Clinton because these crimes are allegedly real.
No,
but
but the problem is every
Trump.
single time you do this, I understand. Listen, I understand as a viewer because I watch people do it and I think about this, but I understand from the perspective of a debater, and you do too, okay? That, or I'm not sure, but like when you're arguing with somebody, you can ask that one more question, but they can always pivot and do some other retarded shit. People think that if you just ask the next question, then they'll be like, oh, you're right, I concede on this point. But that's not what would happen. You would say something like, oh, well, maybe what about him going after Hillary Clinton or whatever? But then he might bring some shit up and now you're yoinked into a whole ass different argument of dumb shit. If he's willing to lie blatantly, you agree that he lied about what Alvin Bragg said, right? He lied about that.
Dude, when you're asking me to
Why
say
do you think Hitler was bad? Was Hitler bad?
When
Was Hitler a
you're
bad
asking
person?
me to
Was Hitler?
say-
I'm
when
just
you're
curious if you can
asking me
commit
to
to any moral statement ever. Was Hitler bad?
Hitler was bad.
Okay, is raping a 6-year-old child bad?
Yes.
Okay, is slitting somebody's throat for no reason bad?
Yes.
Okay, when AJW, a guy who went to school for criminal justice and has made 50 million videos about Alvin Bragg's and the unfair press, when he makes up a quote from Alvin Bragg's, and his representation of what Bragg said is actually 180 degrees in the opposite direction, and then he asserts this as evidence, and then when he's pushed on it, he can't find anything, but then 2 years later, he finds that some prosecutors quit, blah, 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 blah. Is that a lie?
There's also the possibility that he's retarded. So I would have to go through all his content in order to see if he's retarded.
Okay, so then at least you know what? I'll take that. So we've narrowed it down to he's either a liar or he's retarded. If you agree with that,
No,
I'm okay with that.
Argumentatively, and Sean, if you hear this, I'm not specifically calling you retarded, but argumentatively, this is where I track Trump sycophants down to, because oftentimes your explanations will boil down to, well, he could just be misinformed. And I'm like, why would you want the president of the United States to either be somebody who's maliciously lying or someone who's so retarded that he can't tell truth from lies?
Okay, can I ask how old your kid is?
Don't do this.
Okay,
6 and 1.
my kid is 13, okay? I don't know if your 6-year-old has gotten to this yet. Okay, I don't know if it's a boy. There are times when my kid was obviously lying to me, okay? They go to the bathroom, they come out, like, did you wash your hands? Oh, yeah, of course. Really? Well, why isn't the sink wet? Oh, I wiped it down after. Really? Right? In what world, right, where I'm talking to my son, I'm like, obviously you're lying to me. Would you ever sit there and think, well, maybe he thought that washing his hands meant that he could sneak some dry hand sanitizer and then wipe it, or maybe he thought, right? You're in no other world, in no part in life are you thinking this way. And also, even in the most stringent forums, like in criminal court, you would never think this way. Right? Where it's like, oh, well, maybe maybe he didn't know that he was drunk when he was dry or whatever. Like, you're making so many exceptions. You don't believe this. You don't believe anybody's this stupid. If they were, they would be institutionalized. You can't be this stupid in this regard and be okay and survive in every other aspect of your life. It's not possible.
Okay. True. However, when I am making the assertion that somebody is a liar, which I very rarely do, because I think there's all sorts of delusional cope spirals that people put themselves through in order to affirm their presupposed positions. If I go through a lie, then what I have to have is I have to know that they know something and that they are knowingly choose to say something opposite of what they should in normal circumstance know. So I don't pay attention to AJW that much. So if you're asking me in a live debate with a few hundred people watching or a few thousand people line to accuse a debater, specifically one that I would want to come back to the hippy dippy in the future, that he's a piece of shit, he's a liar, he's malicious, he's evil, he's not arguing in good faith. That's not going to happen.
He accused a
And-
sitting DA of corruption with no evidence on live YouTube.
Then this should be content where we bring in AJW and you grill him for an hour. And if he doesn't have answers that seem rational or reasonable for this specific issue, or if he dodges the debate entirely, then that should be viewed as a high probability of guilt on
Sure.
his
Okay,
part.
but this already happened, right? The last 30 minutes, I think, was it 30 minutes when he brought up that Bragg's quote? And then I went searching and I was like, oh, well, can you find this? He spent like 30 minutes and he didn't find anything.
Didn't he
And
kick
he
it over to
didn't
Cam
That's almost
Higby?
bad
By
for
the
the
way.
audience, don't you think?
That what?
And,
He
wait,
kicked
and,
it
and- and he didn't apologize to Bragg and be like, "Oh, sorry, Bragg, I accused you of being a corrupt prosecutor with no
Well,
evidence."
Bragg doesn't
I'm
know
sorry."
who he is, so I don't think Bragg is offended.
Okay, but you just you're spreading, because this is not the first time that this has been said. It's been said by all sorts of liars and malicious Trump people on X and Twitter, and so he is spreading a malicious lie accusing a public official who did his duty of corruption with no evidence, and he doesn't even show any contrition for it. He just moves on.
Also,
there
keep
was
in mind,
multiple-
keep in mind, this is on the thing that we were able to catch him on, right? And if you see somebody that willing to commit to a lie that they've been called out and caught on, that they can't substantiate given 30 minutes to search for, given that this is within the background of his education, given that it's within the background of his job at his YouTube, and he's covered this before, why the else would you trust him on a single other thing he talks about? Ever.
You're a crime guy. How do we do a law and order president who's facing 4 different sets of indictments in the country?
Listen,
7 million
7
what?
million border crossings.
Fact check at home, okay? Because I know that conservatives like to play fast and loose. 7 million at the border was not border crossing; it was encounters at the border.
In
You
the-
think that at any point in fighting in any Middle Eastern war, we have more private military troops on the
100%.
ground than actual U.S.
100%,
military troops
yes.
fighting? Not like people that are doing construction, not people that are cooking in
100%,
kitchens.
yes.
But economic policy is a bit harder.
I'm sorry. Shut your face. There were 17,000 of these contractors as of April, and the year that we drew out. The Biden administration dropped them to 7,800. Closer to the withdrawal, they were dropped down to 2,2,700. This would be more than
Contractors, I'm saying fighting force.
This would be more than
fighting
oh, now you're
force.
changing the
I
parameters.
didn't change it. I explicitly said
Now
fighting
you're
force.
changing the
And I
law.
said not people that are like there for construction, not people that are for cooks
These
or
are-
chefs,
these-
because as you said before, but those aren't our fighting forces.
I'm not talking about chefs or construction workers. In your face.
I literally found the article that you're reading from, and the article itself is backing my point. The cuts are especially acute for private security contractors and for logisticians and mechanics. These are not fighting private military
The
contractors.
mechanics
These
are. I just said that.
mechanics.
The mechanic. I knew you were going to say that. I just said. I know you're going to spaz
Here's
out
a
when I
direct
say
quote from the
mechanics.
article. It does suggest the U.S. is not substituting for troops with money for contractors, which is a claim you just made.
Bulk of this federal welfare spending, supposedly, that's going to the state of Kentucky, goes to exorbitantly large military bases. Again, I'm not sure what is so hard to understand about this.
Yeah, I'll look up this, but I did look up what Sean said, and I can see that the federal funds that were spent in Kentucky, 3 is the Department of Agriculture at $2 billion, 2 is the Department of Veteran Affairs at $2.5 billion, and then 1 is the Department of Defense at $8.3 billion. So
I'm out of here.
I'm just kidding, actually. Department of
Let me
Defense was
clip
number
this.
3 at $8.3 billion, 2 was the Social Security Administration at $19 billion,
old
and 1 was the
people.
Department of Health and Human Services at $116 billion. So the idea that military bases are what's playing into Kentucky's absorption of federal funds is bullshit.
Sure. And by the way,
Wait,
Sean
what do you
and I-
mean, sure? That's your way
I
of
was about to
saying,
explain that.
I don't. No, okay.
I was about to explain that. So Sean and I, back when I was a little baby in the debate space, we had a debate on systemic racism and all that kind of shit. And I brought up that probably one of the best ways to maybe not solve, but address systemic racism is make sure that you handle all of the materials, whatever you call it. I haven't talked to a leftist in a long time. The material circumstances of that person's life to give them the highest chance of success, right? And he basically, in front of a crowd, because he was, a substantively bigger YouTuber, he basically called me a fucking moron, said that a lot of these things are cultural and genetic.
Well, I'm sorry. Wait,
and
how is
that
this? What does this have to do with anything I just said? What do we?
I'll f***ing get there, you bitch. What do you have, League of Legends to play today?
No, but you're
Shut the
leading
fuck up.
away because you don't want to own the point that Sean
I'm
is a
not
f***ing
leading away,
liar.
I'm
He's a
leading
malicious
to.
liar. You're not going to get back to that. Okay, go ahead.
No, literally, I'm about to tell you why I have good reason to think that he's a fucking liar.
Then why not just agree with you? Why say sure?
I'll explain that in another second, you asshole. You got someplace else to be? I'm pretty sure not. You're going to be down in front of your computer for the next 8 hours. God damn. Anyways, so the point is that he recommended that I go read some books because these books would enlighten me. I read the first book, and the authors who wrote it, not only was it written in the 80s, but the first thing that they said to address criminality was early childhood education. So right there, he calls me a fucking moron. He gives me homework, and then his homework contradicts what he said, right? So in that circumstance, I have every reason to call this motherfucker a liar, right? But maybe he's retarded. So getting back to the conversation.
Wait. You think he's retarded for recommending you a book that he said would prove his point that proved the opposite? Why not?
Yes.
What would it take to move you into thinking that maybe he's actually just like intentionally navigating conversations in this way, that he doesn't think you'll read the book, so he'll recommend one so you don't, and that he'll not even quote the book, but he'll quote somebody else's citation of it and pretend that he's read it? At what point what is your threshold for lying?
Probably like 6 lies.
No. I mean, like, no, to call, because you didn't even admit that was a lie.
Sure, maybe he's retarded. So far, I have 2.
He kicked
The level of strictness that you're at. The level of strictness that you're at for anything. Imagine a girl steps out on her boyfriend and she and comes back and the guy finds out and he's like, did you cheat on me? And she's like, no, actually, I tried to text you that we were going to break up and then I was going to untext you and I changed my mind and then we got back together, but I just didn't tell you. But I didn't actually cheat. We just kind of like broke up for like an hour and then I came back. And Connor's like, well, maybe she didn't actually think that was cheating because technically the relationship was over and I can't actually prove 100% that she thought it was cheating. So I'm just going to say that, like, maybe, there's a chance that she's just really dumb. Like, do you understand how stupid that sounds?
Hold on. Sean and I are not having a sexual relationship.
How is that at all responsive?
It's not. Now he's being bad faith. That was an intentional stupid point because he knows that he's lost on this completely. No, you're not joking. This is why. No, it's so frustrating. No, you're pivoting. You're pivoting because you know that Sean got caught multiple times lying in bad faith, but we want to write it up as like, oh, it's just silly and goofy and like stupid and blah, blah, blah.
You're asking me for my individual value judgment.
Yes, and I'm not getting it because in the real world, you would not be telling me this. You wouldn't be saying this. Especially if you're not, no offense, my aunt who is a cop. You motherfuckers judge people faster than anybody else. You would never think like this. Even your normal brain doesn't work like this.
Shut up. So, having people, no offense, I have very low standards for anybody involved in Twitch and YouTube politics.
Good.
I deal
Same.
with liars, morons, assholes, douchebags, and fucking hypocrites every goddamn day, right? But what I'm trying to do, because I like Dylan, and I don't think Dylan is any of those things. And
he's going to just ramble again. This is like King Rambler. It's the King rambling. It's just going to be a complete and irrelevant point.
The benefit of the doubt.
He's going to do like a 5-minute thing on why he's trying to be nice to people so that he can keep inviting people back to the show and he doesn't hurt Dylan's business and he does a good job.
You're a YouTuber with 200,000 subscribers. You have no reason to fucking talk to me. The 100,000 or 80,000, let's be real, 80,000 fucking subscriber Warhammer guy who has 3,000 subs in YouTube politics. You have no reason to fucking talk to me, but if I'm nice to you and I DM you and I ask you politely to participate in a fucking debate because you have clout, because you have money, because you're important in the political debate arena, will you please come on to this fucking show?
Connor.
I don't want them, shut up! I don't want them to say, hey, weren't you that fucking asshole who accused me of being a lying piece of shit the other day? Go fuck yourself, I want nothing to do with you.
You are confabulating. Are you telling me that when you just responded to Steven, what you were actually thinking was, I'm thinking about the little guy, and he's going to hear about how I responded to Steven's question on this space like that many times ago. And so in order to set the good precedent that for future...
If you think...
You were thinking about that when you responded to Steven's question.
Sure, hold on. I'll let you finish and then I'll respond to it. Go ahead.
That when you were responding to Steven's questions about whether or not you thought AJW was lying, what you were really thinking about and giving him the benefit of the doubt was the little guy that you might reach out to join the panel on Dylan's show, and so that you're setting this precedent of being a good guy so as not to like put off any future people who want to be involved. That's what you were thinking when you responded to Steven?
Yeah.
Bro.
Can I just mention that like Sean constantly kept kicking things over to Cam Higbee to like fact check some of this stuff? Because that's why I was trying to get in. Like when Destiny would sit there and ask him about the Alvin Bragg quote, he's like, oh, let me find it. Cam, don't you have? And then he kicked it over to Cam. And again, if he had done all of this research, why are you going to constantly kick it over to Cam to take that brunt of the blame?
Okay, and hold on. I'm sorry. That's a good point in reference to the debate, and I appreciate you trying to focus it on the debate. Is Destiny still here?
Yeah.
Yes.
That whole ramble you just did was a total fucking waste of time. I don't know why you keep doing this. Like, I don't understand.
It's the little guy.
Or at the very least, like, with what you just said, with what you just said, just publicly say, hey, listen, when I invite people onto the show, I'm going to do everything I can to be nice to you, even if I think you're a bold-faced liar, because I want to be nice to, like, small content creators. Like, just say that at least. It was like, okay, cool, I got it, I understand.
Nice to small content creators. What the fuck are you talking about?
If whatever you're doing to help the little guys come on the shows and to be nice to and to help bring everybody together.
Moron, I'm the person asking.
Oh, it's for the big guy? It's so that the big guy is concerned, or sorry.
Yeah, because all you fucking big creators are a bunch of piss pants, whining, egomaniacal lying freaks.
Okay, so that's even worse. So what you just said is, when you were answering Steven's question about whether or not AJW was lying, you were thinking in the back of your head, in order to appease the big content creators and know that I'm not going to ever challenge them on their bullshit, I responded to him a certain way. That's what you want us to believe, that's what you were thinking about when you responded to Steven.
Hold on. There's not a single thing that I have said in the past 5 minutes that is contradictory. When I'm dealing on a personal level with a content creator,
here comes another one.
All of you are pieces of shit. I have to see a pattern of lying before making an individual value judgment. When I am recruiting for a fucking show to do panels, then I am going to be as nice as possible and always give people the benefit of the doubt, because if I reach out in the future, I want to get a DM responded to. Which one of those is hypocritical?
It's not hypocritical. It's a lie that you were thinking about that when Steven asked you that question about whether he was lying.
No,
I don't believe you.
If they were, they would be contradictory statements. You just said they aren't.
I do not believe you when you say you were thinking about clout when you responded to Steven, because actually I have a better impression of you, and I think that this is a post hoc rationalization. So that's number one. And number two, it's not good to lie for clout, and you shouldn't do it. If that's your reason for responding to Steven in that way, then you should stop that.
When did I lie? What are you talking about?
The question is, why did you respond to Steven the way you did about AJW and giving him the benefit of the doubt when you did? And you said, the reason I'm doing this, initially I misconstrued, I thought you said it's for the little guy. It's actually so that big content creators aren't put off by your accusations of lying. That's what you're saying, representing. That's the reason that you're responding the way you did to Steven, correct?
And no, the first statement was, I've seen 2 evidences of AJW being quote unquote bad faith or not having the correct information. So I need a pattern of behavior before I call someone a liar. And then the thing that goes on top of that is the fact that I'm not going to accuse somebody of fucking being a liar if I wish to work with them in the fucking future.
Okay, so this is the first of one of 6 lies that would establish a pattern of lying, or I don't understand.
Sure. I would say around 6 lies. I just realized that you're a fucking piece of shit and I don't want to talk to you.
How can you establish a pattern of lying if you can't even establish whether a thing is a lie? And that's what you were asked, not whether he has a pattern of lying, whether he did lie.
Well, if I was conducting an investigation to whether or not AJW was a fucking liar, then I would have to go watch old videos.
But he asked you whether this was one example of a lie.
You asked me, I'm answering you. Both of you have nowhere else to be. Shut the fuck up, okay? Destiny said that he has made 20 fucking videos about Alvin Bragg and how he's a massive piece of shit. I would go watch his coverage in live streams, and then I would see if he bumped into any contradictory information and ignored it. That's how I would figure out whether or not he was a liar.
Do you apply this standard ordinarily to people in your life? If somebody walks up to you and says something that's a blatant, bold-faced lie that also happens to make
higher standards for people I interact with in the real world versus people I interact with on Twitch and YouTube.
Why not place the same standard? Why not put the same standards for people that you interact with online?
Because I'm not a multi-millionaire, Destiny.
So it's about money?
Okay,
yes,
wait.
It's about money.
Then just say that. Then just say, like, these people all might be liars and shit, but like I'm not gonna obviously call them out because it would my shit up more. That's fine. I wouldn't even.
Okay.
If you said that, honestly, I wouldn't care. If you say, yeah, there are people that come on and they tell lies and shit, and it's like pretty. Like, obviously, it's not my place to call them out because nobody's gonna come on the show if we like start roasting people or whatever. But that's way better than running defense for somebody.
Hold on, because I think that there's something that's missing here. There are different roles that people play throughout the Twitch and YouTube politics place. You can play as a combatant, or you can play as a recruiter, or you can play as a debate moderator. Obviously, the way that you interact with relationships...
No, hold on. This has nothing... Why do you do this? This has nothing to do with anything that was just said. You can play tons of roles without being a bold-faced liar. You don't have to lie for any of those roles.
Are you accusing me of lying or them?
No, I'm accusing Sean of lying. You don't have to lie to be any. You can be aggressive. You can be advent.
I am accusing you of lying because I don't think that you were thinking about this at all. The money, clout, anything about debates when you were answering Steven's question. That's all bullshit. You were absolutely not thinking about that.
Why wouldn't I be thinking about that?
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Connor,
don't
would
think
you
that
say-
I'm not
Okay, can I
nice? You
break
don't think
in?
I'm not nice to fucking creators in order to maintain
I
relationships?
think
even
you're
if I think they're
nice, but I
pieces
don't
of
think
shit?
you're nice just because you can make money. I thought you had like values, right?
Pisco, you and Destiny, of all people, have said things to me in person. If you were my friend, I would punch you in the fucking jaw.
What does this
But I
have to
give
do?
you
What is this like king
latitude
rambling right
and
now? Why?
grace.
No, this
I
has
give
nothing to
you
do.
Latitude.
Oh my
and
God,
grace
bro, this has-
because we are debaters in a Twitch and YouTube online debate space.
I
Connor.
hate this. Hold on, this is so f***ing retarded. You're conflating being rude or aggressive with f***ing lying. Like, some of these things are character traits where I wouldn't be friends with the person who did this. Other parts of these, like, show a lack of moral fiber. Like, being an asshole or being rude or being a jerk is one thing, but f***ing lying, especially when your job is to get paid for conveying truth, conveying information, that's like a moral failing. Do you recognize that there's a difference here? Do you recognize that when I say, hold on, do you recognize that there's a difference between somebody who lies versus somebody who's just like an asshole or mean? That one is a bad person, and the other guy might just be a jerk you don't want to be friends with? Do you acknowledge that? He's about to say, sure,
No.
okay, by the way. Oh, we're just going to say no.
I think-
Okay, it's all the
I
same
think
shit to
there's
you.
a dozen. Hold on. I think there's a dozen virtues and vices that people
Why are we do-
can
would you-
have. Sorry, is this something you already know? Is this something that's going to bore you? For the
No,
next
yeah,
30
it's going to be like another 45-second like thing that's like has nothing to do with what I just said. There's
Connor, can
Hold
you
on.
answer?
You just hold
Can
on.
you,
Shut the
Connor?
f- up. Everyone, shut the f- up. Destiny, you just said that the way that you evaluate good or bad people is based off of lying. Do you think that there's other virtues or vices that people might have?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
you can use to evaluate whether or not they're a good person?
Sure.
Okay, then you agree with me, you fucking moron.
No, I don't agree with you. You're playing a
Yes, you
game.
do.
You're playing a game, okay?
What
where
game am I
you're
playing?
playing a game where you are pissing in a glass, and then you're asking me like, "Oh, well, is the piss?" Like I'm looking at it, I'm like, "I'm not gonna drink this. It's piss." And then you pour it in a pool, and you're like, "Oh, well, but you drink the other stuff in the pool sometimes, don't you? Oh, so it should be fine. It's all mixed together." You're taking a thing like lying that is bad and horrible, and you're like, "Well, you guys have said things to me in real life where I would punch you." What does that have to do with f***ing anything? Why are you mixing all of this shit together? If there are
Because
bad.
there's more virtues and vices than just lying.
Yeah,
and on top
no
of that,
shit.
You're friends with all kinds of liars. What the f are you talking about?
Yeah, but I don't cover for them. Name one, and I'll call him out right now.
Am I covering for AJW or am I?
Yes,
being
you are
nice to
covering.
him?
No, you're covering for him. You're covering for him.
Self,
Bullshit.
Destiny,
That
yourself.
is bullshit.
You never
This
read
is
that opinion.
autism where
Kill yourself,
neutrality
Bisco.
is mistaken for alliance.
When you
It's
no,
insane.
it's not. No, yes, that is true. Neutrality in some cases can be an alliance. Yes.
No, it's not.
Okay, Connor, I'm gonna give you an out. Was he being dishonest, misleading, any of those, or is like are because I understand that like you don't want to
In
levy the
reference to
liar
what
word.
situation?
The debate.
The situation we've been talking about, Connor. The Bragg
The debate.
situation.
There
the
were
only
two
situation.
things. And by the way, I already answered this question. I would have to go watch the debate, and then I would have to watch his.
And then you have to watch 15 different videos to figure out if. Yeah.
Hey,
So this is
I've
probably
already
the
watched
first thing
fucking
I-
10,000 videos of yours because I actually enjoy your content. The reason why I know that you're probably not a liar for most situations, although you have lied sometimes in
yes.
the past.
No, I don't think
is
so.
because you are so autistically obsessed with honesty that you will divulge things that are damaging to yourself just to be honest.
Like what?
Destiny?
Like when I f his mom over and over again. Stop
He
changing the
walked out
topic.
of the room drinking
When
a
you
Gatorade,
when
and
you
he was like, "Hey, I just f***ed your mom," and I was like, "That really hurts my feelings. You're kind of a piece of shit."
do you understand that when there is a person, okay, if I walk into a room, okay, and there's a dead person, okay, and there are 5 people that are crying, okay, and then there's one guy with blood all over himself, okay, and then one of the crying people is like, "Oh my God, like we all watched him murder this guy," and the other 4 are like, "Well, I'm not really sure what happened. I'm just gonna be neutral and just not take a position." Do you understand how like the neutral people can be the worst people at a given environment? That they are the ones that make you feel the most insane? That's like the story of online debate over the past 6 years is people that will say the craziest, most fascist Hitler adjacent shit in the world, and then people like you will come in and be like, well, I'm not gonna pass judgment. I'm gonna be the reasonable center here, and I'm not gonna say anything. And now I've got this position where I come off as this far left, unhinged, crazy person because you're standing in the middle going like, well, did he actually lie when he claimed that the guy said a thing that not only did he not say, there's actually plethora of evidence that he said the exact opposite. I'm not gonna take a position on that until I've watched 15 of his videos, which, by the way, I'm never gonna do. Right? And I'm never going to revisit this conversation. And I'm going to use this exact same excuse for every single lie that he says in the future. Like,
his entire space is filled with liars.
Wait,
there we go. Another, toss the piss into the pool again. Yes, it's the whole space is everything.
How
is that misleading at all?
AJW is here to defend himself. I thought that was fair, and so
yeah, there you go.
Will you say it to his face?
Source. Sean, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I thought somebody was going to say something to my face.
I'm gonna ask you a question. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions because people are trying to get me to be a dick to you. So we had a debate probably about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, where we talked about systemic racism, and you were kind of a dick about handling the material circumstances. You referenced me a book that had early childhood education as one of the things, a material circumstance that they would recommend in order to improve society, and I took that as you being an asshole, potentially being dishonest. So do you think, has your opinions changed at all in the past 2 years? Do you think that addressing material circumstances is something we should do? Do you think it's genetic? Do you think it's cultural? Were you lying to me? Did you forget what was in the book? What was that?
Okay, so just real quick before I answer that. In this DM, I was asked whether or not Trump will end democracy. That is what I agreed to. It's in plain English. And like Pisco went on this whole rant about how I had this wild interpretation. Like I didn't interpret shit. Can you just acknowledge that?
No, you misinterpreted the debate prompt, which actually was.
What are you talking about? This is what I agreed to. Right here. Whether or not Trump will end democracy if elected. Plain English.
Do you agree that is that the debate prompt
That's
or
the
not?
First message. That's the first message.
Is that the debate prompt or not?
Okay, so you're saying
is
that
it the debate prompt or not?
So you're saying on July 26th, when I got this message, I should have known that the title of the stream would be changed to that because
is it not the debate prompt?
I'm just curious because
hold on. I just want to get an answer to it. Is it the debate prompt or not?
Hold on. This is more important than relitigating the debate. Both you and Destiny have been pressuring me to call Sean a liar for the past 30 to 45 minutes.
Not on this.
I think, shut up.
On brag.
I think that is more important. So, Sean, can you please answer my question?
All right, repeat your question, because...
All right. So about 3 years ago, you and I had a debate on systemic racism, okay? During that
I thought
debate,
it was on crime, but okay.
Okay, whatever. So, crime. I said that we, in order to reduce crime, we should deal with the material factors. You said that that's silly. We've been addressing material factors for a really long time. Culture and culture and genetics play a large part in this that a lot of people don't want to talk about.
I didn't say genetics. I said specifically, well, first of all, what I would have referenced was James Q. Wilson and his writings on the subject. And what he spoke about is that in the 60s, we instituted all these welfare programs to address the material conditions. That led to the largest crime wave, or coincided with, to be more accurate, with the largest crime wave in American history, and then the much simpler approach of just punishing criminals, incapacitating them, seemed to be what is effective in reducing crime. So okay. I think the point that I made, even if it was like poverty was the root cause, it is clearly more efficient to target the criminals, because just because something is a root cause doesn't mean it's the most efficient way to address a problem.
That's great. Thank you for re-articulating your position. The crux of the issue, though, is that you referenced me probably 2 or 3 books. I read one of the books, and they mentioned early childhood.
What does this have to do with anything? This isn't the brag.
This has nothing to do with Alvin Bragg.
I'm trying to determine whether or not he lied to me, Pisco.
You're trying
to shit. Shut the up. So, you said go read this book. I read that book. Early childhood education was one of the things that they listed as a potential solution as a solution for crime. So, did you just try to tell me to?
Which book was it? Was it the James Q. Wilson book, like Thinking About Crime,
no
something
idea.
like that?
I'm not trying to relitigate the debate. What I'm trying to ask you is, were you being intentionally? Shut up and we can move on to brag.
If I
Were you
referenced you a
lying
book
to
that
me?
said if I referenced you a book that said that I'm sorry, not Alvin Bragg, I'm getting confused. If I referenced you a book that said that early childhood education was a solution to crime, then I improperly referenced that book. I don't remember doing that, but I should not
Okay.
have done that.
So you weren't intentionally lying to me when you did that.
Great waste of time, Connor.
But
Fuck
yeah,
you,
but
Pisco. You have no place to
like,
be. You're debating with
and
me
it,
right now, you loser.
and again, certain things can be factors, and theoretically, you can reduce crime in other ways for sure.
Okay.
But
Now
like, I
Pisco, because he's so
specifically
interested in the
argue about
truth,
what
he's going to grill you on Alvin Bragg. Go ahead, Pisco, the lawyer.
Well, I'm happy to take actually anyway actual justice where it wants. Do you want to talk about the Bragg thing, or do you want to talk about your
Oh, okay. So we don't
ridiculous
want to address whether or not he's
interpretation,
a fucking
or do you want
liar.
to talk about
He's
your
here right
ridiculous
now.
Okay,
He's here
interpretation
right
of
now.
Trump?
what is
You and
Whichever
it?
you
What is
Destiny,
decide,
shut up,
buddy.
You and Destiny have been trying to get me to call him a liar for the past hour, but now that he's here, you want to relitigate the debate instead of me actually grilling him on the situation.
Listen. But Connor, I'm giving AJW because we've been like talking a little bit of shit. I'm giving him the opportunity. It's like a choose your own adventure.
Oh, you're
does he
being
want to
nice?
talk about? Does he want to talk about? Does he want to talk
Oh,
about?
you're being diplomatic?
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought that was good to do for money, but I'm giving him the opportunity. I'm giving him the grace if he wants to talk about his insane interpretation of the
I
prompt.
want to call
do
you
that,
and Destiny
or
the biggest
his
F
about Alvin
slurs on the
Bragg.
fucking
He can
planet
pick
right
whichever
now.
one. he wants to
Wait,
go with.
hold on. What do you want to say? I think he lied. Yes, he lied 100%. I couldn't talk because you had to relitigate your 14-hour ramble on some irrelevant shit for the 50th time in this conversation. Yes, I think he obviously lied about the Alvin Bragg thing 100%. Yes.
Number one,
Okay,
Destiny,
calm
you
down,
ranted for
children.
hours at a fucking time and nobody gives a shit. Shut the up with other people taking too goddamn long. People listen to you for 9 hours a fucking day.
Because usually my rambles are at least relevant to the point that's being addressed.
There's
I
14-year-olds
tell
in
you
the chat.
specifically when my points are relevant to the fucking points. Shut the fuck up.
Okay,
Grill.
so
This is your opportunity. Sean,
Do
they
what?
just called you a
Yeah,
liar.
I think that.
Your
Yeah, I think you
response.
obviously
so
lied about the
pretty-
Alvin Bragg thing. Yes, obviously. Yes.
Okay, so pretty simple. I agreed to this prompt, or this is what was messaged to me,
That's not
which
what
is
we're
whether or
talking
not Trump will get elected. Or I thought it was choose your own adventure. Whether or not Trump will
not.
end democracy
It's not.
if elected.
I'm going to autistically focus on this. Did you lie about Alvin Bragg?
Did I lie about Alvin Bragg? No, he did campaign on going to get Trump. Destiny said I needed a quote. I never said that there was a specific quote.
Wait.
And
You
then
didn't say that he
cited
campaigned
him.
on getting Trump. You said that he campaigned on disingenuously fixating on Trump and going on a fishing expedition to find any type of charge possible.
I believe that's what he did, yes.
No, you didn't say you believe that's what he did. Do you see how clever that was? Hold on. So what he just did right there, that was a lie, right? That was an intentional bold-faced lie. He reframed the conversation saying, well, this was my personal belief. That wasn't your personal belief. You said that he had stated this, that it was clear. This wasn't something that you inferred. You deduced it from words.
That he had the most experience going after Trump, and I inferred because the case was reportedly dropped in 2021 and then picked up again right around when Trump was announcing he was running for president.
That's after the case, dipshit. Wait, that's after he's elected. Why would you cite the things
Yeah, after he
Bragg
was
is elected
elected
to interpret that statement? Dipshit.
No. The dropping was after him saying that he has the experience because he's gone after Trump and his kids and his foundation was during the campaign.
Wait. So just to be clear, you understand there was a very public criminal investigation by Cyrus Vance Jr. in Manhattan against Donald Trump, so much so that a subpoena was argued all the way to the Supreme Court in Trump versus Vance, and that it was public information, and the election was being held in context of that ongoing investigation. You agree with that, don't you?
Yes, I understand, and I understand that Bragg ran that he would be the best person to pick up the case and prosecute Trump for crimes.
No. He explicitly said, I'm not going to prejudge the case. You acknowledge that, correct?
Yeah, in the other quote, he said, obviously, like evidence, he gave the caveats. He wasn't as bad as Letitia James, and there's no.
Hold on, to be clear, for Letitia, you also couldn't cite anything that Letitia said that was bad. Also, the idea of a guy.
No, hold on, Stephen. I do have the clips of Letitia where she said to a voter on the street that you should vote for her because she's going to sue Trump. Like, she specifically asked that.
Wait, and she says, vote for me because I'm going to sue Trump as a DA? She's going to sue him in civil court, or what?
When she was running for attorney general in 2018, yes. On the street, she's asked about why it's important to vote and what you would say to people who, like, say it doesn't matter. And she said, and then she asked if she was going to sue Trump, and Letitia James said yes. Like, that's why it matters. Why
does this matter? Why are we talking about Letitia James?
Well,
the question is, did you lie? Did you lie about Alvin Bragg? That is the question. Your attempt to go to Letitia
We'll look for that
James
clip. I guarantee if we hunt it
absolutely
down, it is
shows
not how he's
your feeling of
suggesting
weakness
it.
on this point,
Absolutely
because
not. I guarantee you it's not.
understand that Bragg's statements to any reasonable person cannot be understood to be a promise of prosecution. You understand that?
I disagree, but that's fine.
Wait. So to be clear, I want to hear a clear on this. So if there is an active case against a large figure and a district attorney who's in charge of these cases against large figures says, I've prosecuted this large figure before, I'm the man for the job, you think that's improper, inappropriate, or shows some political bias?
During the campaign, if you're doing this as a campaign thing, I think, yes, it is improper.
Okay, so you think so you think for the future, you think for DAs running, DAs shouldn't talk about any active case ever that's existing. They should never.
You shouldn't talk about ongoing investigations in that way.
And do you think that that's a standard?
This is a public case that went to the Supreme Court. This is one that everyone knows about. This is a case that Cyrus Vance Jr. specifically had held on and did not make a prosecutorial decision on.
Look, when Supreme Court justices get nominated to the courts, they know some of the cases and they know some of the key issues, but they always give the proper answer, which is, I'm not going to comment upon cases I might see in the future.
A couple distinctions here. A couple distinctions. Number one, he literally said, I am not going to prejudge the case as a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, in a different
Number two, there are two different roles. One is a political.
Thank you. Political. Yes. It's a DA. It's not supposed to be insulated from political pressure. You vote for these people. These people are nominated or they're appointed by other political appointees. They don't have lifetime roles. They're totally different ways that you would run for them. You don't run for Supreme Court.
I just gave an example. Of what I think the standard should be.
Yeah, but you acknowledge that's your unique standard. Nobody else has that standard.
He met that
standard. Comment on ongoing investigations.
He met that standard. He said, I'm not going to prejudge this case. I'm not going to comment on
the
the
case. Yeah, in the other quote that you're talking about, he did say that, which I think comes from December of 2021.
So he did what you wait. He
After the
said,
election.
I'm not going to prejudge the case. He said that that's what a Supreme Court justice, if they were asked about an ongoing case, that's what they would say. They would say, yeah, I've done other cases like this.
Two different quotes. During the campaign, he's like, I'm the guy to do this. I've sued Trump in all these different ways in my role in the district attorney's office. I've sued his children, his companies. The first quote that you're talking about that was read to me.
Are you referencing what he said in the debate or a statement afterwards to the Associated Press?
There was a first quote that was read to me, and then there was an additional quote that you're talking about where he gives the clear caveat that he's like, oh, I'll let the facts, blah, blah, blah.
So I guess I'll ask this question, AJW.
Wait. Before we move off this, just before we move off this, okay? So then you acknowledge that at the least, he didn't do anything, absolutely wrong. He didn't do anything to show political bias.
No,
he just did something that you personally think you don't want DAs to say this when they go to run for office.
Bragg was significantly better than Letitia James for sure.
That wasn't the question. Why did you? Wait. Who brought up Letitia James? I'm asking you that he didn't do anything improper in running, and he didn't show political bias. He just did a thing.
You can let me finish the answer. And yeah, I'm perfectly fine to say that. I'll even say I was wrong about it. His statements were not as bad as I thought.
Were they corrupt?
They weren't bad. They were 180 from what you said. They were 180.
They weren't 180.
They were 180.
He was campaigning on this.
No, you said he was campaigning on a fishing expedition. He campaigned on following the facts on an ongoing investigation and cited prior litigation experience against the guy that was being sued as an example of why he'd be a good district attorney.
All right, fair enough. I mean, whatever.
Okay, second thing. You brought up... You brought up over and again. Wait. Also, quick thing, and then Pisco. Wait, you can drill him on this. You can go back to this if you want. You keep saying he dropped the case. What is this in reference to?
So there's a report that the case was dropped in 2021 it was CBS. I read it on the thing. I could try to pull it up again.
Wait. There was a report that the case was dropped. Did the whole office in? Go ahead.
I'll try to pull up the CBS report.
They weren't. Okay. I'll tell you what happened. They decided not to charge him on tax fraud related things. Okay, and there was a different theory of the case that went on afterwards, which was the theory of falsifying business records related to the Michael Cohen stuff. So there's two different theories running in parallel this entire time. You maybe shouldn't comment on this if you don't know anything about it.
I believe that was the campaign finance one that they decided to not charge, which didn't end up getting charged.
Wait a second. Hold on. That was a good... Okay, so what you just said there, you admitted then that you lied before. You just said they decided to drop a different case or a different charge. They didn't drop the whole thing.
The case was directly related to this. They dropped this and then they resumed the case again, but they didn't do the case. campaign.
if they drop this and resume to think, there's no evidence then that everything, because before in the debate, now you're being very sneaky, okay, and very malicious with how you're phrasing it now, but in the debate you said they dropped it all, and then when Trump was running again, they decided to pick it back up. The obvious implication being, the obvious deduction being that they dropped it because they didn't think that he was going to run for office, and then they picked it up once he was running for office again. But now the nuanced story you're selling me is still, I think, incorrect, but it's a lot more generous towards Bragg. What?
They were one case before. This was a campaign finance with the falsifying of business records to cover it up.
When? Wait. So there was a DOJ did not pursue the campaign finance violation as to Donald Trump. If that's what you're referencing, drop the case. You obviously know that they're two different prosecutors, and so you can't look to them to be coextensive. They had different charging decisions, and Bragg can't even charge campaign finance relations related things directly. He had to go through the falsifying.
There are state campaign finance laws that you can in fact charge directly. Like New York State has their own laws, and the statute of limitation expired federally, and then he didn't charge it as well. And I believe I forget which one he used as the underlying. Did he not use the underlying? No, it was some weird law that was something about. This is not the point, but whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was charged with falsifying business records, and it was upgraded to a felony in service of other crimes. And those three other crimes were other falsifications of business records related to Michael Cohen's organizing documents for various different entities related to the scheme, other schemes related to Pecker and National Enquirer, catch and kill stories, the overpayment of taxes and falsifying tax records to the IRS and potentially to state officials, and then finally the underlying campaign finance violation. But he wasn't charged with campaign violation. It's just a theory of the falsifying business records. All of this is to say, this case developed on a separate track to the tax fraud theory of the case, the criminal theory of that case, which was dropped by Bragg. He did not pursue that, and he was criticized for that. That might be what you're referencing.
But he didn't drop everything and then pick it back up after an election announcement. That's not even a bad faith interpretation. That's just a fantastical.
And after those prosecutors came out, Bragg made a statement and said, "We have not made the investigation is ongoing." He literally came out when those prosecutors came out and said, "This is shit. Bragg is not doing this."
He disputed the report.
Bragg literally said the investigation is ongoing in response to that. And so your characterization that the case was dropped is false. You acknowledge that, right?
Based on what the two prosecutors said, it was dropped. So Bragg saying it wasn't dropped.
Which statement? Which statement? What are we looking for here? Link me a thing. Show me this.
A couple prosecutors quit sometime in 2020, 21, 22 after Bragg rejected a certain theory of the case. They quit, and they were vocal about that this is wrong, that Bragg should have charged. Bragg almost immediately after said this investigation is ongoing and didn't comment further than that. He did not drop the case, Sean. You agree with that, correct?
I mean, according to those prosecutors, he did pause the case, drop the case for the time, and they called it a great failure of justice.
Theory, Sean, and what you're painting it as is this, and clearly this was your implication. And if you deny this, I mean, you're just going to look foolish. The implication of what you said was for political reasons, it was resumed. That was your implication, correct? Was that or was that not your implication?
Totally was.
Am I muted? I said yes, 100%. For political reasons, it was resumed. For political reasons, Alvin Bragg charges when he has known downgrade felony charges.
You're warping. Maybe you're in a tunnel. Come again?
If we're on political reasoning.
So you guys can hear me, right?
Wait, let Sean speak, please. Wait, what did you say?
Can you hear me clearer now or no?
Now I can, but maybe you're in a grocery or something.
Yes.
I heard a little scare.
For political reasons, the case was resumed. In my opinion, Bragg enhanced the charges, which he never does for criminal cases. 51% of the time he drops the charges. So yes, I think that was done for political reasons as well.
And what is your proof?
I don't think that answered the question.
What is your proof that this was done for political reasons?
Because Bragg partially campaigned on this. And again, it's outside of the way that he normally operates his district attorney's office.
Wait. If he campaigned on this, then why would he drop the charges? Your own story is internally inconsistent.
Because he wasn't running. Well, there was an idea that Trump wasn't running. And then
What?
when
No,
Trump
wait.
made it
That's
clear that
hold
he
on.
was
Also,
running-
hold on. Sorry, no conservative memory holding here. Okay, everybody knew that Donald Trump was running from the end of the last term. Like, I don't think there's ever been a question on if Donald Trump was running. This idea that he's
2021.
what?
Trump announced in 2021 that he was going to run again. So yes, Trump was running the whole time. He had an official announcement so he could in 2022, but he said at the end of January 20th in 2021 that he was going to run again. We all knew Trump was going to run again. I was just backing you up.
Also, it seems like because now I'm reading a story about this. The two prosecutors that quit didn't quit because a case was dropped. It looks like that Bragg said that he felt like he didn't have enough evidence to go to a grand jury to get an indictment, so they continued their investigation. The two prosecutors left because they thought that he should have, I guess, continued presenting evidence to the grand jury. It sounds like this is what Mr. Dune and
They
Mr.
believe
Pomerantz.
that there was enough evidence, probably. They believe that there was enough evidence.
They said there was enough evidence, and Mr. Bragg felt like there wasn't, which seems to play against your narrative that he was just trying to politically prosecute Trump.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. That he's assessing the evidence and he's coming to different conclusions.
Yeah, I think that Bragg was not going to run the case because he had won his election on this promise because he was sworn in 2021. He didn't want to do it. And then later, when it was obvious that Trump was running, he went for it.
Wait. So you think that he... Wait. So keep in mind that he won this in criminal court with a conviction in front of a jury. You're telling me that a case that he won with a criminal conviction, he decided to just not pursue that anymore? You don't think there was any political interest in pursuing the ex-President Trump?
Yeah, which is why he did it.
Okay, it's
Connor,
just
where are
it's
we at on
fantastic. I couldn't even ask you for a source on this. You have nothing. Like this is all the most baseless conjecture that is betrayed by the very facts of everything that unfolded. Like you think that Trump apparently decided he wasn't going to run, and then now publicly we realized he was going to run, so he just happened to pick up a criminal investigation. The fact that Bragg just picked up a criminal investigation and managed to convict it in front of a jury, but he could have done that the whole time, but he chose not to because Trump wasn't running anymore. Even in your own world, this story is ridiculous. Never mind the fact that in the real world, there's no evidence for any of this at all.
Connor, where are you at on this? I thought were we at supposed to be 6 or 7 lives? Where do you stand on this?
I have specific questions right now, but I'm waiting for Pisco to say it's okay.
I mean, you can ask, yeah.
Okay. So number one, Pisco and Destiny, I knew everything you were going to say before you said it, and on top of that, it wasn't interesting. So I don't know why you took so long to say it.
Based.
But Pisco, you said that he's a liar and that you knew he was a liar, and you're sweating me because I'm not calling him a liar. So I would like to ask you right now, do you think Sean is misinformed, or do you think he's lying? And can you say that to Sean's face right now?
100%. He is lying about his conclusions. 100%. What he's lying about is that he has evidence that Alvin Bragg did this for political reasons, and he's also lying about what the statements mean. That is, excuse me. That is to say, the statements that Alvin Bragg had on the campaign, that those statements fairly read or listened to represent a promise to prosecute. If by prosecute you mean to bring charges, those statements are not a promise to bring charges. And his insistence on saying that it is a promise to bring charges either shows he's insane, doesn't understand the English language. I suppose that's a possibility. Or he's lying.
Firstly, I knew everything you were going to say, and it wasn't interesting, and you took too long to say it. Destiny, same question.
Yeah, of course. No, and Pisco has the pussy position here. He's not just lying about this particular fact. The entire construction of this argument is a lie because he knows too many specifics to have not known that they were incorrect. So, for instance, citing the Alvin Bragg's quote, I don't know how many times, we go back to his YouTube or his Twitter, how many times he cited over and over and over and over again, and then to not have any...
You're taking too long, and I know
Good one. Yeah, this is great. I'm sorry. Let me do this in your way, okay? So 15 years ago, when me and Sean had a debate once over whether or not I should buy blue jeans or stretch jeans, he looked at me and he said, "Do you know how many vices and virtues there are in the Bible?"
You are being
Actually, yeah.
Because I talk like a woman.
No.
As a woman yourself, this is...
The fact that Sean even knows these collection of facts, but then deliberately miscontextualizes them or lies about the context around them, like these two prosecutors quitting, for instance, shows that not only has he done some research to understand it, so he's not just misinformed, he's selectively finding bits and pieces of information that he hopes the other side doesn't have context on. Like, for instance, when he brought up that Hayes, the Hayes election last time, and I didn't have all the background information on this, and then I find out that the Electoral Count Act, okay, the thing that Donald Trump was trying to destroy, was actually as a result of that Hayes thing, the very thing that he brought up, right? For all of these little things, shut the fuck up. You lied about all this. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You lied. You lie about all of this, right? But so in this, just in this conversation, he lied about the Bragg's quotes. He lied about why the prosecutors quit, and he lied about the. There was a third lie too, but it's hard to keep track of all. But yeah, all of these things are lies. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I never said the
I knew everything you were going to say. Sean, are you a liar?
I never said the Hayes election had anything to do with the Electoral Count Act. I said that they had a problem where arguably the wrong guy ended up winning.
Because some of the states were still fucking. It was after this. Geez, like, do you think the circumstance? Never mind. I'm not gonna get yoinked on this.
I also pointed out that this involved sending Republican officials to throw up votes that they deemed to be fraudulent, which is super sketchy. And this was No.
Stop. You're lying. The situation is not even remotely comparable. You're just telling a complete and total fucking lie.
And by the way, even accepting your version of the events there, you can say now that it wasn't a threat to democracy. Do you think in 1871?
The prompts piece, if you could read, actually says if Trump winning will end democracy.
No, that's actually not what the prompt says. And let's get to that.
No, it's right there. If you can read what I actually agreed to, then that would be it.
Is what you agreed to the prompt?
In the debate, Sean, in the debate, Sean specifically said that democracy being on the ballot meant that if it was voted the wrong way, it would end. He bought into the framing. I don't care what he says now.
Yeah.
In the debate, he said, "Hey, if it's on the ballot, that means it's going to end."
I mean, I was going to go there next, cancel, but yes, it is true that
when I asked to appear on a debate, when I'm asked to do that based on a specific prompt that is told to me in the messages, I come prepared to argue that point.
Wait. So if the prompt had been something like, is cheese better for you than eggs, you would have been prepared to argue that prompt meant whatever you were told by Counter Connor?
So first of all, if I showed up and it was something completely different, like that could not be tied, I would be like, why am I even here if I was promised X and got Y?
But then you didn't ask that whenever you first started the debate. You didn't ask that when you first started the debate. You continued to engage with Destiny.
When I first started, because Destiny wouldn't drop this point. I was like, look, we can move on to another topic if you can see this. He refused every time.
You didn't say, hey, I didn't come for this debate. I came for a different debate. What you
I said in my opening statement exactly what I was there to argue.
I understand, but you put a demand upon Destiny that he agree that you had won on the debate prompt, not
on this point, so we could move on, which is like a logical thing when you're led to believe that the conversation is going to be about X.
So then I'll ask you with fresh
eyes. Why would I agree to this random, like, oh, is this going to be like vaguely damaging or threatening to democracy? That's like super subjective and pointless.
Well,
oh my God.
Do you believe?
Wait. That statement was just a lie, right? If you can't show a binary end or start to something, then it's pointless. You understand? You should delete every single tweet you've made about politics ever, if that's the case, because nothing is as binary as that.
Steven, it's a pointless conversation to argue about whether or not this is a threat or not. It's like a vague topic that's not interesting to me. Like, you might enjoy that, like, that's fine, but that's not what I signed up for.
We were going to argue whether or not it was democratic for Kamala Harris to be appointed the new.
I didn't bring that up once in the entire time of this.
No, I'm not saying you brought it up here. I'm saying in a previous context, didn't we have like a discussion about maybe after you got married, and congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's objectively not democratic.
Okay,
like
no, hold on, that's not true. That's not true. That's objectively not democratic. Hold on, it's a private. It's a private company. The Democratic Party is private, and number two, they followed every single process and procedure to have Kamala Harris inherit the delegates from Biden. What do you mean that's not democratic?
That's nice. She got no votes in the Democratic primary.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They followed the process.
Okay,
then they have followed the process exactly as they're supposed to.
Democratic, not whether they folled the process. They used to not have any primaries. They used to not have any primaries and pick the candidates themselves, which was not democratic.
Wait. Who picked the candidates themselves?
The delegates in both parties used to pick the candidates.
The delegates are still, that's how the delegates work. They still did that. Yes, Biden's delegates are now voting for Kamala Harris. Yes.
Yeah, the delegates counted. I voted for that didn't vote for her.
I voted for delegates that were loyal to Joe Biden.
It's the
That's
same
who I
thing as
voted
with the
for.
primaries before 1968.
Cancel. We can't hear you, so I'm just gonna mute you real quick because your mic's coming in bad. So Sean, a couple points on the substance. Yeah, like I voted for loyal Biden delegates, and my votes counted when Biden said who he wanted his successor to be. My delegates, who I voted for in New York, voted for Kamala, and so democracy was absolutely upheld.
Oh, so it's
But even
definitely
even
okay. So
beyond
you
that,
could just
even
appoint your
beyond that,
successor to democracy. Got it.
even
You know that's what
even
the vice
beyond that-
president is, right?
Wait.
Sorry.
Even beyond that, right now, we are having a conversation that you're saying is impossible. You're saying that you don't want to have a conversation about nebulous terms like democracy.
Yeah, whether or not Trump is a threat to democracy, that's like a
But you
nebulous
will
thing.
have a
Whether or
conversation
not,
about whether Kamala Harris's
yeah,
nomination
it's a
is
different
democratic or
topic
not.
that is more interesting to me. Yeah.
Whether it's more interesting, they're both the same level of concreteness, right?
No.
How can you say that one is measurably more like objective than subjective than the question of Kamala Harris being Democratic in her appointment or nomination versus the threat of
It's pretty
democracy of Trump?
straightforward. Joe Biden got 83% of the vote, which was like 14 million votes in the primary. Kamala got 0. So
No,
her
but
getting the nomination
they
after the
both
primary
involve
process.
they both involve foundational questions about what it is to be democratic, whether by democracy we mean number of votes. They're
I
all
think
kind
one
of
is more. I think one is more objective than if somebody's going to be a threat to democracy. Like, if
so if
you
I were to say
disagree, that's fine.
so let's say we have the debate around whether Kamala Harris's election was a threat to democracy based on what happened in the nomination process. Would
I
that be a
probably
debate?
wouldn't. I probably wouldn't participate in that debate. It's not that interesting.
That's
Bisco.
essentially the debate you were having right now.
No, it's about whether or not her selection as the candidate was democratic, which it wasn't.
Pisco, is it democratic if I vote for a slate of electors and then Donald Trump tries to overturn those electors? Is that is that democratic?
That's a great question, Sean, and I think that you would answer it wasn't democratic for Trump to try to do that. That would be an argument you would have in terms of its concreteness, whether it was democratic for Trump to attempt to assign new electors. That's a debate you would have.
Whether it was democratic for Trump to assign new electors?
Yeah, to alternate electors, that thing. That whole strategy, whether or not that was democratic, that's a debate you would be willing to have because it's concrete.
No, I'm not really interested in that.
Whether or not you're interested in terms of its concreteness, its objectiveness, it wouldn't fail for the same reason that you say the other debate would fail. Fair? It's more objective.
I mean, I guess
one-to-one with the Kamala example. It's one-to-one.
It's more objective than whether or not somebody is a threat to democracy, or if they win, will they threaten democracy?
On what ground can you say it's more or less concrete again?
I said it's more objective than the idea, like a threat. Whether you perceive something to be a threat is inherently subjective.
Whether you perceive something to be democratic, isn't that inherently subjective?
There's a certain degree of like objective reality when it comes to whether or not a process is democratic.
Hold on.
So
Wait. That's completely wrong. Hold on. Just as a quick precursor, do you know how any single part of the United States government works ever? Like any part of the government whatsoever? I'm just checking. Okay. You understand that there are people that are appointed, right? That we don't democratically elect, right? Do you think that the Supreme Court justice is that undemocratic because nobody votes for them?
Yeah, they're not democratically elected.
Okay, wait. Yeah. So do you acknowledge that what you just said, that there's an objective reality about democracy?
Yeah,
that was the most retarded statement that anybody with even a level 1 understanding of U.S. civics could ever say, right? You acknowledge that was a retarded statement, right?
The Supreme Court is not democratic. Like, that's easily objectively verifiable.
Okay. So legislation is not democratic either then, right? Because we don't vote on bills.
We don't vote on it,
right?
We have a representative democracy.
No. So what? We have a president who appoints Supreme Court justices, and we have a representative democracy that votes for senators, and they appoint and confirm the Supreme Court justices. So legislation, by your argument, is not democratic, right? We don't vote on that legislation.
Well, we don't vote directly on it, so in that sense, it's not democratic.
Okay,
sure.
and the presidential election, that's not democratic, right? Because we don't even get to vote on that. It's just the electors, right?
Presidential election is 50 individual elections, and people argue that it's not democratic because the person with less votes can.
Okay, so in that case, we have no. That's fine. Okay, so I understand. Okay. I concede all of the debate from last night. There is no threat. Yes, there is no threat to the democracy because we don't have a democracy. I understand now. I got it all. Okay, great. That's amazing. Okay.
Wait. That is your point, AJW. It is your point that there is no democracy in America, fair?
Well, the American system is a republic, but for the purposes of the conversation...
No. The American system is a democratic, constitutional republic. It is all three of those things. You understand that saying it's a republic and not a democracy when we vote is retarded, right? That was a retarded comment, right? You know we are a democracy and a republic. Do you know that we are a republic and a democracy? Do you think that the United States is both?
We're a republic with democratic elements to it.
No,
like
stop. No. Is the United States a republic and a democracy?
A republic.
Okay, yeah.
So
This is okay. Wait, I just want to. Okay, yeah, go.
Is it a democracy? Yes or no?
A republic, not a democracy.
Those aren't mutually exclusive.
By definition, there can be no threat to the democracy of America, right? Because there is none.
Well, no. In the context of the conversation, when I heard "end democracy," I assumed it meant end the elections or something to that, where it would like damn.
You just said
like,
the elections aren't
end the
democratic, so who does it matter?
democratic.
Well, the presidential election is it's technically not democratic. The person
Right,
with
so then how could you interpret it that way?
Can win. Well,
Wait, you
because
just
we were
said-
talking about the United States of America and the Trump election, and if he won, presumably it would be an electoral college victory, which would technically not be democratic when he would probably lose the popular vote. But like, I wasn't going to get into all those like needless specifics when we all kind of knew what we were talking about.
Well, we don't all know what we're talking about because some people have no idea how government works because you think that republic and democracy are mutually exclusive things. Do you think a democracy is only when every single decision by government is voted on by the public via referendum?
No, and I never said that.
Then what is it? What is it? Can a democracy never have elected officials that vote on legislation for you?
I never said that either.
Then how are we not a democracy?
Because we have certain checks that are designed, and originally when our country was founded, it was only one branch of the federal government that was directly elected, actually half of a branch, because we had a system designed to check the impulses of democracy. It was designed as a republic.
You understand that the republic is checked as well, right? By the veto power of the president, yeah? So do we not have a republic then?
Checked by the veto power of the president?
Yes, that if legislation is passed through the Congress, usually sometimes in the House and the Senate, but it eventually has to pass both houses, that the president of the United States can veto that bill,
he has
right?
a veto power.
Yes.
Okay.
So then we're not a republic either then, right? We must be a monarchy or something, I guess, right? If the republic can be checked.
Veto power and still be a republic.
Wait, but if there are checks on our democratic vote and that makes us not a democracy, why wouldn't checks on the republic part of our government make us not a republic? Wouldn't we just be a monarchy with republic elements and democratic elements?
Well, I said we were a republic with democratic elements.
Why are we a republic, though, when it can be so brutally checked by the executive?
Well, it's not just the executive. It's also the Senate was not directly elected, and we have the courts that are appointed and were supposed to be approved by the Senate.
not
Hold on.
addressing the credit
Also, the Senate is elected, okay? And the Senate has always been elected. Maybe not always by the citizens themselves, but the Senate, it's not the House of Lords. The Senate might have been elected by state legislatures in the past, but those were elected officials as well, okay? So the idea that because some people do legislation or because some people were elected by other people, that it's not a democracy. Here's a question. Is there an example of a democracy in all of human history then, under Sean's definition? Has there ever been a democracy? Ever?
Well, I think parliamentary systems are more democratic because they end up having a
Has
prime
there ever
minister
been a
who's
democracy in the history of the planet ever? Just one.
Is there any government you would
A
call
single
democracy?
democracy ever?
I would call more or less the parliamentary systems democracies.
Wait,
How can you
Because they
possibly
have a prime
say
minister.
that? I mean, you have them. If you're talking about the UK, you say you would call the UK democracy, but not America.
also, I want to be clear. You're saying that a prime minister that you don't elect, as opposed to a president you do, is more democratic than the legislative
Well,
system?
we don't technically directly
That's
elect
wild.
the president.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the prime minister is like the leader of the legislative branch, which is one like in their election system.
Okay, hold on, wait, just real quick, because I got to take off. Just as real quick, Sean doesn't believe any of this, right? You know, there's like retard school. He's just f***ing with you. He doesn't believe any of these things. This is the most retarded shit that anybody ever say. That's why these conversations are a huge waste of time. He doesn't actually believe any of this. This is the most retarded shit I've ever heard in my entire life. Holy shit. Good luck.
I mean, you're the one who tried to bog it down, and the difference between
It's actually like nobody believes this. Like, you know, he doesn't believe this. Like, it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. There is no such thing as there are no democracies ever. The United States isn't a democracy. The parliaments are more like, it's so dumb. I don't care. All right, I'm done. Shh. Fuck. See, I just lost. I lost. Engaging with that, I lost. I lost just by engaging. Okay. Just as a quick thing, okay? I don't know where this talking point came from. Again, I literally think that this sounds so, I feel bad faith saying this, but I literally think that Republicans don't want to say that we're a democracy because democracy sounds like Democrat and republic sounds like Republican. I think that's actually it. I can't believe that this is real, that this is where I live now, that in this time in history, that this is the thought. But I think that Republicans hear republic and then they hear Democrat and democracy and they're like, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. And it's wild, okay? Democracy can mean a whole bunch of different things, okay? You can have, there are representative democracies. You can vote by referendum on things. Brexit was a referendum. You could vote for representatives, right? I think when you have a body of people, even republic, I think can mean lots of things, right? So some people were telling me before that, well, republic and monarchy are exclusive. And they're usually a dichotomy to one another. You have a republic, so a body of people that represent the people. I don't know if the republic always even has to be voted on. You have a republic, and then you have a monarchy, right? But like England, the United Kingdom, that was a parliamentary system, okay, which I believe counts the republic, with a monarchy, with a king. All this to say, I'm just saying that there are broad understandings of all of these things, right? You have democracy can mean a whole bunch of different things, and a republic can mean a whole bunch of different things within a spectrum. But to say that like, well, we can't be a democracy, we're a republic, what? Where do our representatives come from? We vote for them. That's democratic. I don't know why I'm even explaining this. I don't know why I'm pretending that no one, I don't think anybody legitimately doesn't understand this. He believes that America's not a democracy, but he found the nuance to engage with it hypothetically, but not the nuance to threat level. Yeah, it's okay. It's, oh wait. I hope that you understand though, at least. Sean here is not misinformed and he's not stupid. And it's not like he just has a bad understanding of what's going on. This is intentionally and maliciously lying, okay? That's what he's doing, all right? Can you explain the Hayes thing? No, I had a couple people emailed me about it last night. I haven't dug into it. I didn't know we were gonna go that far back into history, but apparently in the time of this election, there were parts of the South, I think, that were still literally being occupied after the Civil War, and there was contention over like the outcome of the election and everything, and how electors should vote and all that. And in this, there were like disagreements over like which electors are sad, and some went that were probably illegitimate. And as a result of all this, afterwards, they passed the ECA, the Electoral Count Act, right? Which is what Trump tried to circumvent. I wish I would have known that ECA factoid. Factoid technically started off as a word that meant a fake fact, but now it just means a small fact. But yeah, but that it had nothing to do with. Oh, there's even, we read this. Was this in a Federalist paper, or was this in a Supreme Court opinion? I remember that. Oh, it was in Gorsuch's writing, who's a phenomenal writer. Good for you, Gorsuch. I think it was when Gorsuch was writing on the opinion about what was it? It wasn't the Colorado case. I don't think it was a criminal immunity case. Did we read another one? I don't remember which one it was. Gorsuch was writing about the concept of stare decisis, which means that typically the court respects past court decisions. Okay, and it was Chevron. That's right. And as he went into the different points, bullet points about stare decisis, one of the things that he talks about is there are reasons why we look back at the collective wisdom of judges, and when we rely on that collective wisdom, that built-up knowledge, that wisdom over time. And it's funny because one of the points that he brings up about going back and looking to see if judges have ruled on anything is, are there lots of decisions? Were they made by people under a similar system of law? I don't remember about it. One of the points that he brought up, though, was like, were these decisions made in ordinary time? That was an important part, right? You wouldn't say, for instance, does the government have the right to beat the shit out of me for no reason and go, yeah, look, in this time period, they did it. And like the time period you're bringing up is like the literal apocalyptic war of hell. And it's like, okay, well, hold on. Are we going to go to these 2 years and we're going to cite this as behavior that should be, seen as like like good judgments in ordinary time? Clearly not, right? These were exceptional circumstances. Fuck. Okay. Let me get a Red Bull. Fuck. I'm so triggered. Okay. I came to a realization recently that the dichotomy between the immunity ruling that prevents Trump's communications with officers from being reviewed and the fact that Republicans will accept nothing but a literal confession is evidence of Trump committing a crime. Yeah, it's that ruling is horrible. I really wish I could argue with an educated legal person who could tell me why I'm wrong. I don't just think it was a decision that I disagree with. Like, I think I just disagree that, like, I would say I disagree with the Chevron decision, but I feel like the Chevron decision, well, I disagree with Roberts writing on that. I just think Roberts is retarded. Gorsuch seems smart, and Barrett seems smart. But, like, overall, because of Gorsuch's add-on to the Chevron case, I would say Chevron decided fairly. But I could see reasonable minds disagreeing on Chevron. That's what I should say. I can see reasonable minds having different agreements or disagreements on the Chevron case. But the immunity case, the Roberts writing on that just seemed Finkelsteinian. It just seemed horrible and delusional and crazy. And the constant reliance to Fitzgerald about civil cases is just unbelievable to me. And the bucketing of the conversations with the Attorney General. Why would he bucket any of that? Why would he say a single thing? Just remand all the behavior to the lower courts at least. At least send it all back to the lower courts to argue over the level of immunity. Don't already protect Trump when the lower courts didn't even begin to engage in that analysis, as he pointed out for some of the presumptive immunity stuff. Oh, okay. We're good. Jesus. I just want a president to walk around and tell all of his cabinet members, I need you to go and rape a woman or else I'm going to fire you. I just want to see that happen. I just need to see it happen. The president should never be able to be, should never be questioned on that. Why do you think Gorsuch supported Roberts' opinion if you have a high opinion? I don't know. I hope it's just not political bias, but that might be my naivety. Maybe Supreme Court justices historically have been really politically biased. I'm not sure. The feeling that I have, and Pisco agreed with me for whatever that's worth, is that we have like a 5-4 court right now that's 6-3 for some reason. Like, okay, hold on. Careful. I'm about to say a bunch of shit that I haven't read enough cases or have enough, I'll say read enough cases to have a good opinion on. I feel like Amy is so much more reasonable than Roberts, but I've only read fully from top to bottom, I think like maybe 4 or 5 cases, I think, from this court. So maybe there are more, maybe I would disagree. Amy seems to be way more the center of the court than fucking Roberts, who maybe it's not so much political leaning. Maybe Roberts is just retarded. Maybe he's just a dumb fuck. I don't know. Maybe she's more radical on other things I haven't seen yet. Maybe we should go back and read Dobbs. God, fuck, we just read Supreme Court decisions all day. We should just do that. We shouldn't. No, that's okay. I feel like on the immunity thing, I feel like if there was one more liberal, I feel like Amy would have dissented. She must have, because her concurrence in part was reasonable-ish. Reasonable-ish. Roberts was the center when you had Scalia, Alito, and Thomas. Okay, I don't know how far right Scalia was. I just know I really like watching him talk, and he seemed like a funny dude. But maybe I would hate him if I read through some of his decisions. Do you believe that if Trump wins the presidency but Democrats win the Senate, they should still accept his Supreme Court nominations? Yes, but I would condition it on passing legislation that mandates that the Senate is required to have a hearing on a Supreme Court nominee within 14 days or 4 weeks or 1 month or whatever. I would say, okay, we'll hear your Supreme Court justice, but we're now going to I think you would have to pass legislation. Is something about that unconstitutional? I don't think it would be. Saying that from now on, when the President of the United States appoints a key position, it should be any position. I don't know why that hasn't happened already. You mentioned people citing old cases. You cannot even use that in court. You always have to use the most up-to-date case law when arguing in court. So why would they think old cases? No. It's not about people citing old cases. It's about people citing things incorrectly. Bro, I will say, if you can read stuff, I think probably the most eye-opening shit to me in the world, and it's actually blackpilled me on so much. I shouldn't say that. No, I shouldn't say that. because there are good academics that do make good use of underlying material, is reading annotations and reading source material. And because the way that people cite this sometimes is crazy. It is crazy. Roberts, the reason why I don't like his citation of the Fitzgerald case is because he basically looks at a case where the president of the United States, Nixon, he did some action or something that resulted in the firing of an FAA person. I don't know if it was an ATCT controller or what. The guy's like, well, fuck this. I'm going to sue the president. Fuck you. I lost my job. I'm suing you. And I think the court, I'd have to go back and see what the test was or exactly. But they were basically like, we can't just have people suing the fucking president all the time, okay? Because they're unhappy with an action that he did that like harmed them. We can't do this. This obviously isn't going to work. And I think that's a super fair rationalization, right? The president being civilly liable to be sued by anybody who might be harmed by an executive decision, yeah, that's stupid, right? But for Roberts to look at that and go, well, if the president can't be sued in civil court, well, clearly he can't be taken to criminal court, and that's it? I'm like, what? Well, hold on. Don't you think that, like, we have a greater interest in having a president who's not like a murderer or a rapist in office than we do having a president that could be civilly liable for damages? Like, doesn't the public have a greater interest? Isn't that why there are criminal charges? Isn't that why we have like laws about crimes? Just him saying like, well, in Fitzgerald they said civil immunity, so why not criminal immunity? Yeah, you know, that's yeah. And then the fact that in the Fitzgerald case they literally say like, obviously crimes are different than civil shit. Oh, fuck me. I don't care. Okay, don't care. I don't care. I don't care. What am I even doing? Oh, I'm going to go put my teeth in, okay? My dentures. Do you think Israel's system of picking Supreme Court judges is better? The committee has other judges in it, some lawyers and some Knesset members of the coalition. The opposition need a majority of 7 out of 11. I would have to look into it. I'm not sure. There's so much more to understand about, legal stuff, like even our own system, like reading, I think I've only read on stream, 7 or 8 Federalist Papers. Even just reading those gave me so much insight and understanding into why the branches are structured like they are. And there's a whole plethora. It's such good writing too. And these are so good. We will read these. We will get to these. It might be some months before we do it, but we will read every single one of these on stream. I swear to God. All of these are so good. Every single one we've read so far is so good in terms of the construction of the United States government. So when you ask me, does somebody else have a better system? Maybe they do, but I would really want to understand why the arguments were made for this system before saying, well, we should do something completely different, you know? My God, these are written, they're so good. These are so good. All of these are so good. I highly recommend them. It's a little dry-ish, but when you've read like a little bit of it, eventually I think you get a feel for how they write everything. It's so good. The arguments, like you understand that like our government is so not random. Like the way that they designed all of the different branches and how things are supposed to be done, it makes so much sense. It's such a, what a great country. Our country is so fucking awesome, okay? We started with a baller revolution by a group of brave people, came to a new world, okay? No idea what was going to go on. We rebelled against a king, all right? We wrote up our own we had like a quick evolution from strong independent colonies to a weak confederation of states to a federal government. And then we expanded, we grew, we radically evolved our concept of society from white Anglo-Saxons to slaves becoming voting people to Italians and Irishmen and all these undesirables fleeing World War II and coming here and integrating them even without papers to women being able to vote. Like we've changed so much, but we like kept the core thing, and then we let Jews take it all over. What the fuck happened? And then the Jews came, and now people 6 million, really, 6 million, not a single one more, not a single one less, really. What happened?